Within the fairy tale community, a lot of people are beginning to speculate that the Alvarez arc will be one of, if not the final arc within fairy tale. So assuming that it is the final arc within fairy tale, the question is, how will Hiro Mashima end the arc? And essentially, how will Hiro Mashima end fairy tale? My theory on how fairy tale will end has a lot of similarities with the Eclipse arc and how it ended. Now, as a recap for those of you guys who don't remember, within the arc, a future version of Lucy came to warn fairy tale about the inevitable tragedy that they would face if the Eclipse Gate were to be opened. While on the contrary, a future version of Rogue came to recreate the happenings of Zone Time by allowing it to be open so he could inevitably rule over their time alongside the dragons that would come out of the Eclipse Gate being opened. Fairy tale ran into future Lucy after going to break out Lucy and Yukino from the Royal Palace's dungeon. When Fairy Tail came face to face with future Rogue, he told a lie about how in his time the gate remained closed because of this one person, thus causing more than 90% of humanity to die out and causing the dragons to take their space at the top of the food chain and rule over the remainder of humanity. When they asked who the person was who prevented the gate from opening, future Rogue said it was Lucy and then tried to kill her, and future Lucy saved her by sacrificing herself. Natsu then proceeded to fight future Rogue, a really good fight in my personal opinion, and Lucy went on to go ahead and close the gate. But it was a little bit too late because a few dragons had came out of the Eclipse Gate despite future Rogue's description of how leaving the gate open would act as a weapon to kill the dragons. Fast forward to the end of the arc, future Lucy began to fade away and awoke in the afterlife and went on to continue her adventure with Natsu and the rest of the guild in the afterlife. A happy ending for them, despite all the tragedy that they faced. Hiro Mashima once stated in an interview a couple years back that he wanted Fairy Tail to end with a happy ending, unlike his prior work, Rave Master, which ended in a sad ending. Now, although in the Eclipse arc within future Lucy's time, everybody did die, they still met in the afterlife and had a happy ending, which leads me to believe that even if everyone were to die in Fairy Tail, they'd still be capable of a happy ending. And this also leads me to believe that the ending of the Eclipse arc was a huge foreshadow in regards to how Fairy Tail could possibly end. Yes, I think that Fairy Tail's supposed happy ending could take place in the afterlife, and there's many reasons why I think that this is possible. Reasons that range from foreshadowing to just pure speculation. Now let's start with how everyone could die and how Fairy Tail could end in the afterlife to begin with. Referencing the Eclipse arc once again, everyone in the future world which Lucy and Rogue traveled from died because of dragons that came. Personally, I think that this once again was a means of foreshadowing Fairy Tail's ending. I want to draw some attention to Acnologia for a little bit. Acnologia is capable of turning to a dragon, and alongside of that, Acnologia's name legitimately means apocalypse in Japanese. The word apocalypse describes from a human standpoint what happened in future Lucy and future Rogue's time. The dragons wiped out humanity, and that's legitimately an apocalypse. And lastly, I want to draw attention to Acnologia's strength. He is known to have wiped out multiple islands in his dragon form. He is by far one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful character in Fairy Tail. And by all means, I think he is capable of wiping out Fiori, especially after Erlene's use of Universe 1, which along with scattering everyone, shrunk Fiori's size a lot. Who's to say Acnologia couldn't wipe out Fiori along with everyone in it? So essentially, I think that Acnologia would be the cause of Fairy Tail ending within the afterlife, and the cause of everyone's death, except for Natsu. I think Natsu and Zeref are going to fight. Natsu will beat Zeref, and in return, Natsu will cease to exist along with Zeref. Another thing that happened recently within the manga was Aquarius' temporary reappearance. Now, when she came back, she told Lucy that her key was out in the world somewhere, and that if Lucy were to find it, Aquarius would be capable of being her spirit again. Now, once again, I saw this as a means of foreshadowing. Within the Tartarus arc, Aquarius basically died, let's be honest here. When she came back to temporarily notify Lucy of her key being out there in the world somewhere, although she didn't tell Lucy where it was, I think it could be somewhere in the afterlife. So if Lucy were to be able to go to the afterlife, she'd be capable of finding Aquarius' key. And also when she arrives to the afterlife, much like in the end of the Eclipse arc, she'd see Natsu again. Considering, as I stated before, by the time Lucy reaches the afterlife, Natsu would have already fought and beaten Zeref, thus making him deceased. This would also allow for a lot of foreclosure as well. Main examples being some of our main characters. Lucy would be able to see her mother and father, who would inevitably be living happily together in the afterlife. Zeref would receive his death wish that he's had for over 400 years. Natsu would be able to see Igneel once again, which I would love. And also, this would be the perfect opportunity to reveal Natsu's parents to us. Along with that, there's a good chance that if Natsu's parents are alive in the afterlife, so is the non-Aetherius version of Natsu, aka the Natsu that died over 400 years ago. I personally see this as adding on to more foreclosure for Zer, seeing as he gets to see his parents, along with his little brother Natsu, the real Natsu, the Natsu that he grew up with prior to his family's death, and the Natsu that he loves. Not to mention the fact that within this arc, we'd see pairings such as Natsu Lucy, Gajiel and Levi, Urza and Jalal, Gray and Juvia, and many more take place. Now, backtracking to the theory about Aquarius' key, I don't necessarily think the Alvarez arc would be the final arc if this were to be how Fairy Tail were to end. I think there would be a mini arc, a kind of foreclosure arc, which would have to do with Lucy's keys and all the foreclosures for the main characters. Future Lucy stated before she died that she wanted to go on more adventures, and I personally once again saw this as a foreshadowing moment that foreshadows the final adventure Lucy and Natsu will go on, otherwise known as the Eternal Adventure. I think that Natsu, Lucy, and Happy will go on an adventure to find Aquarius' key, which could lead to a mini arc, also the final arc of Fairy Tail. I personally speculated so much about this being the final arc, like you guys don't even know. I've actually came up with 2 possible names the arc could be called. One being Mother's Key, hence Aquarius' key originally belonging to Lucy's mother, or something like Eternal Adventure, which would basically describe the adventure Natsu, Lucy, and Happy would go on, and I think this would be Fairy Tail's happy ending. Nevertheless, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, go and show your support with a like rating. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe. Tell me in the comments below what you guys think would be a happy ending for Fairy Tail, and how Fairy Tail could possibly end in your guys' mind. But nevertheless, thank you guys for watching once again. Peace.